What's up, you beauties? My name is BatchatBegins, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I have a great video for you. Two fantastic games, one from Dark Magician Girl, and one from your boy, Droodles. First one is going to be in the Vickers Light 105, and the second is going to be in the FV402, which are both HESH monsters, but in my opinion, I actually quite prefer the 105. And why is that? Well, the 105 has the same great 10 degrees of gun depression that the 4202 does, but it comes with a lot more armor, which is quite strange seeing as the 4202 is a medium tank and the 105 is a light tank. The Vickers has great mantlet armor. It is pretty much impenetrable to anything except for very high pin TDs. It also has very tall hull armor, including side of the hull armor, meaning that sometimes when you're on the move and you're coming towards them, all you need to do is wiggle a little bit, and they could potentially bounce their shot, which saves you some HP, and eventually it means that you're going to be able to circle around them because this thing has great mobility. So in my opinion, the Vickers is a great tank, but how is DMG going to use that to succeed in this map? Because his team are going to start falling quite quickly here, and as you can see, he's taken up a middle position in the map. That way, if the heavies go to the middle, he's able to go ahead and spot them out and let his team know that they're flanking. And you can also see the TDs in the back and the light tanks and medium tanks over to the med side of the map. Overall, just a good spot for the Vickers because it has fantastic view range, which is also an amazing attribute of this tank. It has the best view range for any light tank, or any tank whatsoever, for that matter, in the entire game. Meaning that it's going to be able to outspot anything coming up against it. And he's gone ahead and dealt with the 183, and now he is working on the Sheridan, which is good because you always want to bully something that has this kind of speed and this kind of gun. And quickly DMG is going to be able to deal with him. Even though he tried loading HESH, the only place you're going to be able to pin that HESH on a Sheridan with that kind of spaced armor is below the tracks, basically below the hull bit, both on the back, the front, and the sides. The turret is quite troll when it comes to that armor, and so is the side armor with that spaced armor that it has. Anyway, DMG is flanking this E100, which is a good move because that backs the E100 off from that middle position, which is quite strong for the tank. And he's going ahead and using the great DPM and the decent penetration for a light tank that the Vickers has. And with all of these attributes, the Vickers is quite strong enough to warrant a nerf for more gaming. Now, what could they have done to a tank that has these strong of attributes all coupled together within one tank chassis? Well, they've nerfed the penetration by nothing great, just about 5 millimeters, which does nothing, to be fair. And they've also gone ahead and nerfed the turret mantlet thickness down by 10 millimeters. It is still 290 millimeters, which means that all of that spaced armor is going to cause any heat shell to bounce, meaning that this thing is still an incredibly strong tank despite the nerfs. It's not getting a nerf to view range, it's not getting a nerf to gun depression, it is only getting slight nerfs which won't really cause any big difference in the tank. Now, tanks that are receiving big nerfs in the upcoming future, that'd be the Sheridan, and that would be the Batchat getting a buff. But the Vickers is still going to be incredibly strong. So if you're looking to pick up a light tank, I would say this is definitely worth picking up. Anyway, DMG has gone ahead and dealt with the T95, and now he is helping his friendly tanks take on the E100, and you can see that DPM is just amazing. DMG is not really making use of that decent HESH that the 105 comes with, and that thing can do a lot of damage, especially to heavy tanks, and that helps you even out that damage differential between yourself and a heavy tank. He's coming up here, he shoots the bottom plate of the E100, gets stuck here, and unfortunately, he's kind of in a rock and a hard place right now. He probably will be getting shot by this Jagdpanzer, and he does, and it's not a full pin, which is great. That means he could stay alive, and he can continue assisting his team. He's going to go ahead and rush the Kronvang, which is a great thing to do. The Kronvang has that really long inner clip reload and a very long overall reload. It has the lowest DPM in tier 10 when it is unloaded. And as you can see, he is just going to keep putting shells in because he knows he out DPMs this Kronvang here. And unfortunately, the Chieftain, which has great DPM, is going to be following up and trying to kill him as well. But I think we can kill the Kronvang before he dies. And the Chieftain, like I said, that troll armor coming into work, he does bounce off the front of the tank. And that does tend to happen when you're coming up against the Vickers. You think that you're aiming for a flat plate, but unfortunately, it does hit off one of the angled surfaces. And it's kind of like a T-22 medium. is just filled with shot traps where shells just go in and bounce. And as you can see, he did finally load the HESH, but I think he was freaking out because he is at a very high damage number here. He's at about 8k damage in the Vickers, which is part of the Hall of Fame, part of the top 10 damage of all time, and he does not manage to get the Chieftain. He does not manage to get away in time, but man, what a fantastic game. And the friendly E100 was able to clutch it out, meaning that this was a victory. He gets a Mastery Badge, he gets a Top Gun, High Caliber, he gets a Radley Walters Medal for those 5 kills, and 7.9k damage. Absolutely fantastic showing of how to use the Vickers without even using the HESH. But we are going to get into the next replay, and it is a fantastic use of HESH by a fan favorite on the channel, and that is my man, Droodles. And he is using the 4202 here on mines with the ugliest camo I think I have ever seen. But despite that, there is nothing ugly about this gameplay. Droodles has absolutely mastered the way to use HESH with this tank, and that is how to succeed with this tank. You out-trade and out-DPM everything coming up against you with this tank. It has a 6.9 second reload, even with calibrated, and I definitely recommend that you run calibrated on this tank in order to get up your HESH penetration as high as it will possibly go, and to get your standard penetration up, because your standard penetration is the only thing that has high pen on this tank. The HESH has about 230-ish millimeters of pen, and the standard has about 270. So you're not going to be pinning through super heavies all that often. You need to know where weak points are. And luckily for Droodles, he does know where weak points are. So he's going to be taking advantage of that when he is versing all these tanks on the enemy team. I have no idea what a Waffle is doing so close to the middle of mines, but we are going to go ahead and dismantle him with that nearly 4k DPM that you get with HESH. And as you can see, we're doing a great job of using that HESH as we light the standard B on fire. Droodles is doing a fantastic job of working this mid-ridge, and he only has to be scared of 1 TD in the back at the moment. So he is absolutely taking the enemy team apart piece by piece. As you can see, we do kind of have to be worried about the final TD that is sitting in the back there, and also the standard B does look like he is going to be going to the windmill side of the map, so we do have to be careful of that. And the enemy team is capping, so there are potential options we could do here, like go and reset the cap. And it looks like that is probably going to be the option that gets picked because the enemy E100 is flanking now, and he is soon to be joined by whoever was just in the cap. As we can see off to the right, that is the case. It is a full health mouse. So this is like a dream right here. If the E100 and the mouse don't focus Droodles, he has a very good opportunity to farm a massive amount of damage, and that is what this tank is great at. It is using its allies to take the hits for it, and then farming off all the damage that is on the enemy tanks before they can actually retaliate. And as you can see, this E100 was full health about, I don't know, 30 or 40 seconds ago, and he is absolutely shredded now. He's a one-shot, and that is about what's going to happen to the mouse here after we kill the E100. So, a tier 10 heavy tank completely neutralized in about a minute, and let's see just how fast we can kill the mouse. Droodles already has the HESH loaded, and as you can see, he doesn't actually carry any of the non-premium HESH. And honestly, it wouldn't be a bad idea to carry some non-premium HESH because you do still have about 40 APCR rounds left. So if you're really shooting through about 30 or so APCR rounds a game, you kind of aren't using the HESH to its full maximum potential. And I would say carry some of those non-premium HESHs to deal with targets that have no armor, like waffles, grills, and the sides of things like Foshes and 263s. That non-premium HESH will indeed go through those targets. If you use a Chieftain or a FE215B or even a Vickers, you'll know that the sides of those vehicles are easily pinned with non-premium HESH. As you can see, Droodles has already dealt with the mouse, the standard B, and now he is just going on a rampage, attacking the Waffle. And as you can see, the Waffle can't really do much here. While it is a great tank and it can be aggressive, it certainly cannot compete with a 6.9 second reload where you are doing, on average, 500-ish damage every shot. There's no way something like that could have competed. And now, the only tank left is a tank that British tanks love to see, and that is the Grill. A tank that can be easily penetrated with HESH, and Droodles is going to take full advantage of that, and he's going to be loading the HESH, getting around the Grill because it does not have a fully rotational turret, and just sealing out this absolutely fantastic game. And as you can see, HESH spam does usually win you games because you are out DPMing the enemy. You're using all of that 3800 DPM that the 4202 has. And as you can see, the Grill has pretty much given up. He doesn't get killed by Droodles, but Droodles does manage to go ahead and seal off an 8.4K game in the 422. And that was an absolutely fantastic game and an informative game to watch as well. Thank you to Droodles and DMG for sending their replays in. If you want to send me a replay, you can find my email and other relevant links in the description down below. If you want to check out another 8.4K game that Droodles did, it will be on Meadsy's channel, and I will go ahead and link that in the description below as well. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach 2K by the end of the year, and I really appreciate your support. And I will see you guys in the next one.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you. It's to the point where I love and I hate you, and I cannot change you, so I must replace you. Oh, easier said than done. I thought you were